Hello everyone, it's me, Juan Gamer 4, back again with another video. And today is the day. 4 videos, 1 story, and 1 video that took me so long to make that made me miss out April 1st and April 2nd. So that's why there was no video Saturday and Sunday last time. I will give you all my retrospect of Game Theory's 4-part series of the FNAF timeline before the new game comes out and is revealed to be a prequel that drops most of the backstory, making the timeline that Maphead made and this video all mixed up. So let's just get to the video before FNAF drops the new game. I want to start by addressing how Maphead started the whole project of his by the placement of the timeline.
Our story begins not in the 1980s, or even in the 1970s, but all the way back in the 1930s.
So basically what you just heard, Maphead decided to make the timeline start in 1930s. It was a bold move to make to start off the video by talking about the Great Depression, one of the most devastating moments in history that was affected worldwide in that era. And I know that some people may or may not have taken aback from the opening, but I wouldn't say it isn't believable. I know there is some discussion about the placement of the beginning of the story as well as the time of the show, i.e. the singing bear, basically saying that there is no way a singing bear can be canon to the FNAF lore, but after looking through the web, it kind of hit me that what they mean by singing bear, they meant about an animal howling or growling to the music, like those people with those people with their dogs howling to the sound of piano. So they make a video titled "Singing Dog." So the same case can be made for a bear who might be growling along with the band, with the drums and such. If that makes sense. I also want to say that yes, it is wild that we have to start the timeline in 1930s, but try as I might debating which year would be better, and basically having a huge amount of hours on my desk really thinking of what year could have been more, I don't think 1930s is a bad way to start things off, to be honest. Let's give this starting point the benefit of a doubt and say William was born around the 1930s. Doing some math while working on the script, I know it's making it seem like I hate myself. That would leave William Afton to be around 60 during the FNAF 3 minigame where he quote-unquote kicked the bucket. Look, I know people would like to make William to look like a hot male that brings all the fangirls to the yard, because everyone does like seeing a young, handsome William Afton to goo goo gaga around. But if we take his appearance in the novels, well, the graphic novels, and some glimpse of his design as Scraptrap or Afton, William isn't going to be pulling any woman like he used to back in the day. Another problem people would have about 1930s bit is that Henry would be around over 100 years old by the time he makes his debut, or I guess return, in Pizzeria Simulator to burn everything to the ground and finish the story, but also not finish the story. Sorry, Henry. But honestly, it's assuming that Henry and William were intended to be two sides of the same coin, that they were born in the same year, which I don't think Maphead or Scotty C intended for them to be. Despite Henry being framed as one of the hotshot players in the FNAF universe, we know little to know nothing about Henry Emily except that he opened a restaurant with William at some point. He has a daughter, Charlotte Emily, who unfortunately met William at the wrong place at the wrong time and is responsible for the FNAF 6 fire. So continue torturing myself. I sat down and do the math. If we're going by Maphead's video, he claimed that 1979 was the time period that Henry and William combined their expertise together and basically make Fredbear's Family Diner. We know that based on MatPat's theory, Henry was working under Chica's party world. That's why there's this restaurant where Chica isn't part of the FNAF crew, but we know she should have existed at some point. That she wasn't part of the band because there was no Funtime Chica. Until there was. So, assuming Henry worked at Party World in the 1970s, and we need an age range where, number one, he's somehow older than William, as William looked up to him. Two, he has experience building robots, so he must have been in the road before. And three, he needs to be around to do the FNAF 6 stuff. So let's estimately say we put Henry around 25, because don't tell me that the picture from the FNAF Cyclopedia doesn't scream a healthy 20s. And I mean, owning a restaurant back in the day is different from owning a restaurant today's standards. I mean, like, look, you're hearing it now. I'm getting the book right now. Hold on, let me just... Can't believe... Yeah, see, I'm looking at it right now. It's looking very much that he has a beard, long hair. So, I mean, like, he do looking like an early 20s at that picture. If Henry is 25 by the time he's making robots at the same time William opens his restaurant, by the time we get to 2023, the year that FNAF 6 and FNAF 3 is taking place, Henry would be around 85 years old. It does sound a lot, but honestly it seems very in the range of possibility. And even if we say 75, Henry is not escaping from being up there in the age. So I mean, like, whatever the case may be 75 or 85, my boy is going to be old. But I mean, like, who knows? I mean, he has that same determined to keep going so he can see William Afton fall. The rest of MatPat's video in part 1 didn't strike me wrong at all. Only because we know little to know nothing about the foundation of Freddy's. That's what MatPat said. So anything MatPat has said didn't affect me at all. And I mean, it's a nice way to set it up. How the business started, how William and Henry's partnership happened, and all the stuff in between seemed to be solid. This is where I was thinking about leaving the video, because, like, you know, do one video for each part, but if I'm looking correctly, yeah, that's a short video. So let's just keep going, shall we? On to part 2. To me, when starting part 2, it was clear that expectations would have to be made for this part, because this is where we're kind of tackling the games. One of the major things that MatPat tackled was which Afton kicked the bucket first. There are many people out there who think Elizabeth should be the one who be sleeping with the fishes first, while others thinks that it's Crying Child, Evan, Chris Afton, Norman, or whatever his name is at this point. He has a lot of names. We have lots of stuff in the games that goes for each contender. So let's just start with Elizabeth Afton first, because we're all gentlemen here. So ladies goes first. For Elizabeth Afton, we got an empty girl's room in FNAF 4's minigame, the camera system in Sister Location's Custom Night, where we presume that after the death of Elizabeth Afton, William is trying to make sure that his 2 sons will be monitored. The fact that there's also the part of Crying Child seeing something that made his little Fredbear plush say, "No, don't you remember what you saw? The exit's the other way. Hurry and leave." And oh, so very lastly, the fact that the Nightmare animatronics all have stomach mouths in the same place where Circus Baby ripped open to scoop Elizabeth Afton. There are a lot of stuff backing up for Elizabeth Afton, but we know for a fact that Sister Location is stated to be open when Freddy's closed down. There's also a big question that if Elizabeth Afton was the first one to be killed, what motivated William Afton to make the murder robots in the first place, if his kids are still around and kicking? I mean, say what you want about, well, maybe Mrs. Afton died and this is him trying to bring her back with Remnant. But we wouldn't know that because Mrs. Afton is a mystery. We have no idea who she is. So, do we really have any motives to say that he's doing this for love? Bringing back lost love? It just don't make sense. And I don't blame anyone who thinks that Elizabeth Afton should be the one who kicked the bucket first or crying child. But honestly, for me, honestly, and this is not me bashing anyone, but I just think crying child is the right answer. Crying child has to kick the bucket first to make the story make sense so that we have a clear picture of William Afton's motivation, that he's just a mourning father who happens to be a broken man. He's a broken man who's mourning for his dead son. And not just some guy who made a robot to kill kids but didn't decide to put safety procedures for his own. So thus making William more like a bit human and not being a dum dum. I'm gonna need to grab some water because this next bit is a game that a lot of people have been talking about. A game that a lot of us have struggled. Even Matt had himself in one of his videos. Because this video game, like this mini game, appeared at the quote unquote final game that should have closed off the FNAF story. And that's Midnight Motorist. This is the game that just had so much detail than all the others that it's the very mini game that even MatPat himself stated that he wanted Scotty C to tell him what it means. That's right, MatPat wanted to know what Midnight Motorist means more than the FNAF timeline at that point. Over the years, FNAF 6 Midnight Motorist, we started picking the game apart. And we had a lot of things being thrown at us. Some good ones too, like Junior's not being exactly... More like, we got good points, like Junior's basically not being a Freddy's establishment, but instead a bar that William goes to drink his sadness away. Midnight Motorist basically disguised as Drunk Driving 101, and that this game is connected to the Security Puppet minigame by the game files labeling it Later That Night. But after pouring through so many people's theories and doing some of mine in the mix, honestly my desk is a mess. I hate to say that I'm not really sold with the location Map had called out. I know, it's crazy. Juan not being 100% on MatPat's side, I know. MatPat went on to say that the restaurant we played in the Give Cake minigame in FNAF 2 is taking place on the same diner that Crying Child died. And with the two deaths so being close together, basically Charlotte, Emily, and Crying Child so closely in the same place, the fact that both of them are essentially, the children of the guys who own the diner, that's what got it to close down. But if that's the case, why would William need a car why would William need need any mobile, you know what I mean, any car. Like, why would he need a car? Because if we look at the FNAF 4 map with Freddy's Diner, it's looking like it's a simple walk. No car needed. Yeah, people could argue in the comments down below saying that the game is just doing game magic because ain't nobody want to play FNAF Walking Simulator. But it's shown that even Crying Child, a literal child, okay, because Map had decided not to be a responsible brother, could walk there and walk back home by himself. And Sister Location proves it more in the Breaker minigame by doubling down on it. So is MatPat wrong about this? Well, maybe there's something that he didn't. Maybe there's something that he didn't tell us. So allow me to sprinkle my own theory. To throw it in the pile of MatPat's timeline. You see, after the death of the crying child, the Fredbear's family diner closed down, and in its place would be a bar under new management, making the Freddy Fazbear move away so they don't have drunk people and children coexist in the same area, because that's bad for business. And also is a bad look. That explains the layout of Midnight Motorists. With the diner all closed down, that just makes... With the diner all closed down, basically Freddy's Fazbear's Pizza will have to move away from the bar. And thus, the diner has now been replaced with a bar. So much so that William could indeed need a mobile, a car. Okay, a car. I try to be cool with it, but no, I was not cool. But anyways, with the diner all closed down, with everything that William made, especially the Springlock suits, as well as, you know, his Spring Bonnie suit, that just add more fuel to the raging fire that he has for Henry. Not only did Henry did his things better, basically save him from being bankrupt, but also left William's stuff on the diner that would all close down. While most of Henry's stuff is out there for the public. So, in a way, I even comment this in one of MatPat's videos, that I specifically said that the reason why Susie stuffed, why William stuffed Susie and Chica first, that it's possibly an attempt to throw Henry down the bus by using his characters. Also, while I like that MatPat made it clear that the key characters in Midnight Motorist are William Afton as the yellow guy, Mrs. Afton as the couch person, and Michael being the runaway, I don't think Crying Child at this point would be able to drag Fredbear around. But we all know that the footprints have to be made by something or someone. So, what? What could have made those footprints? Because I just don't see Crying Child be able to move make a robot move around hunting Michael. Even though I do agree Michael do deserve that. Well, maybe it's just an endoskeleton meant to scare William. Because if you really think about it, Michael is just proving to have the urge to break windows to escape home. So this is, I don't know, William's twisted ways to punish him by having a creature out there so he doesn't break it. A bit of a stretch, but honestly, it's more believable than Crying Child doing the act. I mean, Crying Child looked like he's a sweet little boy. There's no way there's no way this child is capable of throwing something in his room to just break out to Fredbear's. Overall, I don't hate part 1 or part 2 of MatPat's videos. Yes, I know he messed up a bit in part 2, but this is just small details, and honestly, with the way he presented all of this in these videos, it left us all hooked for more. I mean, did you guys saw the outcry when he delayed FNAF the part 3? We were all waiting for part T. Part T. I had to do lots of videos of part 3 to ensure all of you that we have to have patience, because that's how much we as a community love how he handled the timeline, that we wanted more. It's crazy. So MatPat, if you're watching this, buddy, you're doing great. We all hope you're taking an easy break after finally closing the FNAF book of your chapter. You truly earned it, and now relax, because we all know that the Ruin DLC is coming out very, very soon. Before we finish this part, and yes, I know, I thought you all think that it was supposed to be all 4 parts in this one video, but honestly, there's just so much more that needs to be jam-packed, and yeah, there's a lot more to jam-pack in part 3, so I'm sorry. But this video will only handle part 1 and part 2. But don't worry, I'm not making you guys wait for part 3 like MatPat did. But really, before I end this episode, I want to say that I enjoy the reason why MatPat gave to why Cassidy is supposed to be the one you should not have killed. For the longest time, I was baffled, confused, and always wonder what made Cassidy so special to the story to be the one William should not have killed, when William took at least take more than just her life. She took a lot. He took a lot of people's lives. Gabriel, Susie, Jeremy, Fritz. I'm pretty sure some night guards in there and such. And I'm pretty sure a lot more other kids that their names just didn't feel important to the story. What made Cassidy so special from everyone else? And the answer that MatPat gave us is that William just got too carried away and gave her a painful death, unlike the others. I mean, if you gave everyone else a painless death, but you decide to go crazy on one of them, that's just creating your own tormentor in the future, William. I hope you know this. Plus, it's also calling parallel to the Toy Chica's lines in that weird schoolgirl anime where Toy Chica was in it. That was an image, and something that I'm not sure if I feel alright seeing that. So that's it, everyone. My review about Game Theory's FNAF Timeline Part 1 and Part 2. Do expect Part 3 to be coming out somewhere the same week, or tomorrow, because I'm not trying to make you guys wait. And, you know, I just want to get this out because, like, MatPat still has to do that, like, live stream, apparently. I haven't checked when that live stream is, so, let me just check. Yeah, so, let me just check. Friday! Crap. I guess Friday, then. Well, I gotta finish those... Well, I guess I have to finish that script, then. So, yeah. Make sure you like the video so I know you guys enjoy this. Comment down below what you like or dislike about the theories. And subscribe. We're trying to upload daily. This is Gamer54 signing off.